I think we're live. I think we're live. So, unfortunately, I normally use StreamYard to do this, and it's not working. That's not good. So, anyway, this is Beat the Banks from Beacon DeFi. Your beacon in the world of decentralized finance is our free community training that we do every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're a little late today because of technical issues. I sincerely apologize about that. Definitely was not something I was looking to do today. We're actually on reduced number of outputs because I had to switch to a backup solution, which I normally do for my personal streaming as the DeFi professor, and adding a couple of outputs. So uh, after 15 minutes of trying to solve that within StreamYard, that did not work, which is actually probably a first. I don't think I've ever been able to not get a studio to come up. So won't have the same normal um, features that I do with regards to what we're looking at today, but that actually is okay because there's some really fun stuff that we can do uh, here with the live streaming studio. So uh, like that transition. First of all, we'll take a little bit of a look at the market. Pretty harsh, but for one thing, I can tell you specifically for what we've been talking to our audience about for weeks now is to be defensive, to farm mainly stablecoins. Do not do a ton of leverage. Now, you can, of course, trade if that's your thing. If you want to do that, that's fine. Feel free to do so. Uh, but we'll talk a little bit about today. The name of the show today is DeFi Never Sleeps. The reason for that being next week, we're not going to have this call. We've made the decision to give the team time with their families, right? Which is, of course, it's the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday and Black Friday afterwards. You're going to be watching football or, you know, possibly thinking about starting to buy gifts for all of your loved ones on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whichever that is to you. Just as a quick heads up, I'm actually producing a Black Friday list of things. I've been working on it for quite a bit, trying to find the best deals from a crypto and blockchain investor perspective. What is the best resources out there for you that you should get on Black Friday? TradingView is by far the best one to get. It's the only time of the year that they're ever actually on sale. MarketWatch also has a great one if you're into reading those types of charts. Uh, Ledger is going to have a sale. I think Trezor is going to have a sale. Multiple big box stores will have sales on things that are crypto facing, right? So I'll also cover that in my post. But most importantly, uh, Beacon DeFi, the group that I'm a co-founder at, we are an education and onboarding company. We help bring people who are everyday investors into the world of decentralized finance. It's not just trading crypto. It's way more than that. It's actually putting your crypto assets to work. We're having our ever, first ever sale. And actually, I just realized I haven't posted this on Twitter. So I'm going to do that right now. Let me retweet that because that's important that I do that. Ay, ay, ay. What a day. Where am I streaming to? Okay, cool. So I am not streaming to my personal. So, and I apologize guys. This is unprecedented, unfortunately. Okay, so again, first ever Black Friday special for Beacon is coming. Can't really divulge a lot to it, but if you're ever looking for a way to learn more about what we do, get some time with me, this is the time to do it. So really excited about that. Let me get back to just my face, and I am worried I'm a little because I see myself and I'm a little. But regardless, we're going to move on. So today, the theme is Thanksgiving's coming up. Banks are going to be closed. But guess what? DeFi won't be closed. DeFi is always open. Crypto is always open. It never sleeps. So this is your time to figure out the best strategy to start having your crypto assets work for you. If you bought some crypto assets a long time ago, next week will be a really great time for you to spend some time at the computer, sit down, get those assets working for you, or figuring out if they can. If not, clean up your portfolio, get your house in order, get ready for this, what's going to be a crazy 2026. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. With that said, I do have some fun slides that I want to share. And let's see if they look good now. But this is going to be ultimately something in 5 steps that you're going to want to really just open your mind and figure out the best way to get into what's going on. So, and again, Professor Vibes in the lab, that's what this is from. And it's all about getting ready for DeFi, right? Because there's some things that you need to do specifically if you are brand new to this space, or if you are someone who is in this space and you haven't really done a ton of things, right? So these are things I want you to consider with regards to getting ready to be an active participant in DeFi. Even if you just want to give it a try, you should be doing these things because it's good for your investment portfolio anyway. Obviously, I have to start off by saying none of this, let me get back to the other screen. None of this is financial advice. You should know that. You see people talking on the internet all the time about stuff like this. Unless they're willing to show you all their certifications, none of this is financial advice. Do your own research. You will get what you get in effort-wise, what you put in. All right. So, I can tell you the biggest issue that most people have when they come to me about wanting to get into the space is they've got a lot of coins that they've built up over the long run. I mean, I recently talked to one of our newer members who has an excess of 150 tokens that they just bought. They just kept buying and buying and buying, especially during like the bull market from like 4 years ago, and just buying. A lot of people have a lot of the same tokens because they got a Coinbase account and they have the same 17 tokens we all started out with that Coinbase was giving out. Granted, it may not be much, and they might have bought more thinking there'd be more to coins like, Stellar Lumens, the Graph, and some of these others that are out there. Shout out to those teams, by the way. No disrespect, man. But what do we need to do if we're going to get ready for DeFi? First off, the majority of people who have funds that are probably watching this video, if not, send this to someone you know that is in this situation. They've got a lot of coins in their closet on a centralized exchange. One thing I definitely want to say is that we do not advocate for having all of your coins on a CEX, a SEX, however you want to call it, because it's not meant to be a bank account. It is a place where you can buy crypto assets that are held within the metaphorical 4 walls of that facility, of that platform. So the first part of this point of getting ready for DeFi, and DeFi, by the way, means decentralized finance. If centralized finance is all of the coins you can buy at, say, Coinbase, Crypto.com, Kraken, Binance, MEXC, Gate, Huobi. Is it called HTX now? I remember. Pardon me. Bybit, Bitfinex. I can name a bunch more. Anyway, they're all centralized entities within the world of crypto and digital asset tokens. The reason being, if you buy it on Coinbase, it's just based off of the order book and the exchange there on that platform. That's why it's called centralized finance when you're just in that ecosystem. DeFi is decentralized finance, meaning it is in the mesh network of blockchains where everything is governed by smart contracts, whether that be on Ethereum, anything that's related to Ethereum on what we call EVM or Ethereal Virtual Machine blockchains like Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, things like that, or BNB Chain now, Mantle, all these other chains. Solana is what we call an alternative layer 1 because it is not EVM compatible in terms of their smart contracts. It's its own entity, but it's still decentralized because everything is out on all these servers. No one entity or no one country owns DeFi. That is a very big myth that you need to shatter right away. No one owns this. And that's the most beautiful part about DeFi, is that developers and the brightest minds on our planet have come to build this financial system that was built and used by anyone here in this space without spending one penny of taxpayer dollars in any sovereign nation. Now, in order to be in DeFi in terms of investing inside a blockchain, one thing you need to understand is not every coin that's available on a CEX or a SEX is available in DeFi. The best example of this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a store of value token. It is not meant to be traded on multiple different blockchains. Now, it is available on multiple blockchains in a wrapped coin, what we call a derivative, or not derivative, but digital asset, derivative asset, where it is an asset whose value is pegged to Bitcoin, but you're not actually holding actual Bitcoin when you're holding WBTC, LBTC. You're holding an asset that can be traded with the same price exposure. So that's something you have to understand. Same thing with a variety of assets here in the space. Now, there are multiple assets where you're actually holding them in an Ethereum or a Solana standpoint. That's a little bit outside the scope of this. But just know that if you're looking at some of these coins, like FET, like Beam, like HBAR, I could probably name a bunch more that people are probably asking me all the time about. There's no guarantee that's something that's going to be available for you to put to work right here as a performant asset in DeFi. The thing is that you have to figure out and decide on what's going to work out the best. So step one is to clean out your closet of forgotten tokens on a CEX. Now, oftentimes we call this dust, right? You've got $50 of some coin that's worth pennies that you bought at $50. Now it's worth 96% down from when you bought it. It's not worth selling. Honestly, a lot of these things are worth selling. Now, again, not tax advice, but tax loss harvesting is a thing that you may want to consider in that standpoint. I'm not advocating for that, by the way, just raising awareness. So the idea is you're going to go through, clean up so you can find performant assets. And if anything, you're just selling performant assets or getting rid of performant asset, or rather dust assets, to create performant assets that you can actually farm in DeFi. Some assets you may want to hold. For example, like your HBARs. I'll go ahead and say something like XRP. I'll even say something like ADA. Because these are assets that you can't necessarily work as easily as others. Now, in the case of ADA, they have their own everything out there. Shout out to the ADA team. But it's key that you take your existing bunches of tokens and figure out, am I in a situation where I can actually farm that token? And I'll talk about the best way to do that in 1 second. I really should be using my Stream Deck for this, but I already know that. Oh, there, okay, maybe that works. And the best way to do that is through using a token. I don't even know, how would you describe CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap? It's a listing website for tokens, right? And the thing about CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, they don't list everything, right? In fact, you have to pay to get listed on these types of platforms. But it's good marketing for you because it will expose your project at a CEX level if you can get a listing here to then hopefully get picked up as listing at a CEX, because that will just open your token up to a larger and larger amount of audiences, right? Because for example, Coinbase, hundreds of millions of people use Coinbase. If you have a project that ends up on Coinbase, ends up on Binance, I mean, your coin is going to perform really well, especially if you have good marketing, you have good utility, good product market fit, and what investors are looking for at this time. So let's talk a little bit about the best way to figure out your coin. So let's say, for example, let's find a good coin here. Okay, let's start with Litecoin. Let's say you have a ton of Litecoin. The first thing you have to figure out is this an asset that I can put to work? Is there a Litecoin blockchain that I can go and possibly stake, earn 3 to 4% on to passively earn while I'm holding Litecoin? Now, I'm assuming and I'm hoping that you're holding this token because you actually have some conviction in the project that this is going to be an asset that's going to appreciate over time and something you want to hold. If that is not a part of the game, get rid of it. You can actually sell it even as for a couple bucks, even pennies even. These things cumulatively add up to say 150 bucks, 200 bucks, $1,000 in some cases. You're like, okay, cool. $1,000, I can go and I can farm that, using something like a stablecoin farm or something, earn 20% on my money that compounds daily. These are all great things that you want to take advantage of. Getting rid of the stuff that you don't have true conviction in is key number one. And the best way to figure out, is Litecoin something that I want to actually put to work, right? So holding something and then holding and putting it to work are two separate things. It's fine to hold assets, but if you could actually take some of that, like let's say you take half of it and you want to put it to work, even at 3 to 4%, you're still earning something. Because if you're just holding a bag and you're not doing anything with it, guess what? You're holding nothing and praying that the market comes back. You don't want to be in that situation. You want to be in a situation where you actually are earning with your specific assets that you're holding. Shout out to everybody in Retake, by the way. Hello. Frank Ocean asked, did I buy the Jesse coin? No, because I knew I was going to get sniped to hell. So it's a wait and see for me. And it did get sniped to hell. Okay, so the thing you're going to want to do with Litecoin and any asset that you're looking at, you're going to click here on markets. Very similar if you use CoinMarketCap, another listing site that you can use. Just click on markets. And then you come down to the markets here. Now, as you can see, we've got a bunch of CEXs. This is the part that you're going to have to look at to see if this is worth it for you. Because if I just go and just click on, because it's all right now, these are all the CEXs. Look at the volume. We've got tons of volume on all these CEXs, such as OKX, HTX, Binance. I'm sure Coinbase is on here somewhere at some point, maybe not. But if you just, as you can see, they're all here by CEX. If you just click on DEX, okay, not a whole lot available, right? Very low liquidity. This tells me, especially with the greens, even though Ruggira, which is the app layer now for Thorchain, has this available, no. Not at $100,000 of volume with probably less liquidity. You could probably put your money in here and it will be gone in an instant because of volatility and just the price impact, right? Even though it's green, this is clearly one that you'll find at most centralized exchanges. So in this case, nothing to really do with DeFi. There's no real place to actually farm it at this point. So now you have to kind of think to yourself, how do I feel about Litecoin as a token? Do I feel that it's going to, go back to that fake high in 2021 when someone did the tweet that it was going to be the official coin of Walmart or something like that. I remember that, and I remember all the people who rushed to put that short in immediately. And wow, this is, let me just do 1 year. Okay. So now you kind of have to figure out Litecoin. Is this a project that I want to hold? And you have to really pay attention to this part, because it's really more about the short-term move here. If you're going to hold this for 3 to 5 years regardless, you're just like, oh, I'm just going to hold that regardless, because right when the bull market comes back, this will be $400. If you truly in your heart of heart believe that, hold it. That's fine. We'll talk about the next step after that. But if you believe that Litecoin will still be around this price in 6 months, sell it for something that'll actually perform, because you want that passive income to have more powder to make more buys in the future, right? Because we're here to make money. Simple as that. Let me pull up another example. Let's go for, oh, what's a good one? What did I mention earlier? H-bar? Hedera. Great project. It's going to probably be a really great project specific. Oh my God, they were at 36 cents in December. Wow. Look at that. There's a lot of things that are going on with Hedera. They've got enterprise support, privacy support. The Hashgraph is great. It's great tech. Most likely we'll have a lot of institutional traction, to be quite honest. Is it something that I can put to work in DeFi? Now, Hedera has their own blockchain. I will be very honest with this. It's a pain in the ass to get there. It's not the most user friendly. I've never been to their L2, which is called Kick, mainly because I just haven't. In either case, not a whole lot to do with the Hedera token. They have blockchains. They have ways to earn passive income. If you love Hedera, you want to hold on to it, even at this level, you can find ways to stake it if you really need to. Looking here at the markets, we've got all of these CEXs it's available at. In fact, half of these actually have staking for Hedera. Is it one that I would probably want to use? Depends. You will be locking it in there for some time, by the way, because they're custodying your assets. It's not a self-custody thing when you have it on a CEX, which is why we'll talk about our next point in just a moment. Looking at the DEX standpoint, this is all we've got here, these four. So from this standpoint, unless you're going to go to the Hedera ecosystem, use their wallet, and stake it that way, then this is one that you're going to want to probably keep in a hardware wallet. We can talk about XRP. Let's do that, because everyone loves XRP, right? Do not come from, oh my God. It's like where we were a year ago, quite literally. Almost. In any case, we'll do the same thing here. Go to markets. We'll see where we are. We've got multiple CEXs. It's like a top 10, top 5 asset, right? So there's plenty of places to do it. From a DEX perspective, okay. Oh, good. XRPL is doing a lot better. Now, I'm not going to go into the entire XRP ledger or XRPL EVM sidechain today. That's outside the scope. There are options if you have XRP. There's even Flare blockchain, which is a layer 1, alt layer 1 that's out there, where you can actually put some of your XRP to work. I would recommend, if you're an XRP holder, consider giving those things a look. I don't specifically have a guide for them, but just know that they're out there. From a yield standpoint, it's okay. It's not great. But it's better than just holding it and earning nothing, right? You can also stake it here at CEX and a couple other spots where you can find it. But the real question for you is, how long do I want to hold XRP? And really, that's the real question you have to ask yourself when it comes to performant assets. If I'm going and seeing that XRP is available for staking roughly 3 to 4% at best, am I happy holding it at this level for another 2-3 years? Or am I happy with selling half into a more performant asset, even like Sol, DOT, TAO, even USDC, and staking that for much higher rates and DCing back into XRP along the way? Again, not financial advice, just giving you something to think about. Because frankly, when we talk about stores of value, XRP is getting its butt kicked right now. A lot of infighting, a lot of people saying a lot of things about XRP. Not saying that that's a bad thing, because if you have high conviction in this project, like so many of you do, at least figure out a way to get it working. And I know that my chat on Retake is going to talk to me if I talk about ADA, so we're not going to do that today. All right. Hey, Cappy, appreciate you for the love there. And yes, of course, we love HyperEVM. That was a question from the chat. Do I like HyperEVM? Yes, absolutely. HyperEVM is one of the Mag 7 in terms of what we push in our communities for ways to farm. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But that's kind of the key, right? Is being in a situation where you can be ready for DeFi and ultimately seeing if this is what you want to do, right? Because we talked about, figuring out your forgotten coins, using CoinGecko to find out if your assets are available in DeFi, and then selling your dust or portions of your bags for more performant assets. And when I say performant assets, I'm talking about anything that you can find that is in excess of 10%. Because guess what? That's probably the best you're going to get in terms of staking, in terms of lending and borrowing. Probably never more than 10%. There are a lot of assets out there in DeFi where you can actually farm for way higher than that. Now, will you be able to get your actual spot assets down to DeFi to do that? Honestly, no. Most of these are derivative assets with exposure. So selling your non-performant assets to then have them represented with, derivatives in DeFi that have the same exposure and will still get you yield in most cases in cash or in USDC in a stable coin, or some other high performing reward token, better than just holding and getting nothing. That's something to consider. We can talk about impermanent loss and stuff like that a different day, but there are single-sided positions where there is no IL. In most cases, people ask me, do I care about IL? The answer is honestly no. Because I understand the fundamentals of how most of those things work, if you set up the right kind of position, you should always be outpacing impermanent loss. If you are not, based on fees and incentives, get out of that position, because you are not going to enjoy the ride, if I may be honest. So, next slide. When it comes to what you want to do with these assets, we want to separate the performant from the non-performant asset as much as possible. Now, once you get into that area where I love HBAR so much, I love XRP so much, I'm happy to hold it. Please do not hold it on an exchange. October 10th should have been very, very eye-opening for many of you to see what can happen when something as dumb as a market maker wanting to be funny or being spooked about how much order books are glitching due to something small, like a very small deep peg on Athena on Binance, caused clogs in order books with makers suddenly not wanting to take or fill orders. Yeah, that's where centralized exchanges are not good. And this is why we always say don't treat CEXs like banks, like so many of you do. I've seen it in Discords. They're like, yeah, I just keep my money on Binance. Why? Because of what happened on October 10th, that should never happen again. In fact, I'm waiting to see what the class action lawsuits are going to be. Granted, who knows if they'll ever go to court. Regardless. What you should be doing with those assets is putting them in cold storage. If you have no intention of farming them and you want to hold them, self-custody is the true financial freedom in this case, guys. And if you've never used a hardware wallet, I would recommend you do so. They're very simple devices and they work really well. In fact, you're probably going to see a sale to some degree on Black Friday on a Ledger Nano S Plus. In fact, they have them right here. Oh, okay. They've got this new Ledger Flex. Frankly, this is more of a flex. I've held them. They're small. They're tiny. They're like this. Ooh, see, this is a good deal. Ledger Nano S Plus for 59 bucks. That's a really good deal. Oh, they've got colors now for the Nano X. Honestly, for most people, unless you just need to have this is fine. At 59 bucks, that's a great price. You get pretty much all of the features here, except it doesn't have Bluetooth and a battery. That's not a big deal in my opinion. You should be plugging it in when you use it anyway. That's just me personally. But it supports hundreds of thousands of assets. Ledger's a great choice, especially if you have Coinbase, because they have Ledger Live is baked in with Coinbase connectivity, and it's easy to move those assets back and forth. If you're planning on farming with a hardware wallet, which we recommend for a lot of more long-term positions, you want the Ledger, because nothing else is really supported in all of the wallets at that level. There are some other options, of course. If you want to go with Trezor, Trezor's fine too. Problem with Trezor is it's not the best farming wallet that's out there. In fact, if you want to go into Bitcoin, if you want to go into Cosmos, if you want to go into Solana, and multiple other ecosystems, you need the Ledger, because Trezor is only supported on Ethereum and EVM compatible chains. Now, for the security enthusiast amongst us, if you're not going to be touching DeFi, and frankly with your cold storage you never should. You should always have it in your hardware wallet, and then when you want to use it, you now have the freedom to go to any CEX to transfer your funds to, as long as they have that asset there in the books, right? That's the other part. Always make sure that you have an asset that's on more than one CEX. If you're using an asset that's so exotic that it's only on one centralized exchange, probably not the one to hold, unless it's the fucking unicorn that you've never thought you'd never see again. And again, I apologize for cursing, but so Grid Grid Plus has this behemoth of a device called the Lattice 1. I like the Lattice 1. If you like security, this puppy's good. It's also a weapon. This thing is gigantor. I mean, it's a lot. It used to be a lot bigger. It's a really cool device. The way that it works is that these cards, which should be very familiar to you, they are the actual hardware wallets. Well, they're the device that holds all your the card that has the access to your address and the blockchain that has all of your assets. I have to premise with the point that if you have a hardware wallet, nothing is specifically stored on it, except for possibly the algorithm to have your seed phrase. That's it. And the password that you set at that time. That's it. No tokens though. That's all on the blockchain, a whole bunch of ones and zeros there. All that these things do is get in the way of actual access to your tokens as an address. That's why the seed phrase and the seed phrase for the most part is the most important part. That's why you have these wonderful little pieces of paper that you're supposed to use with archive link, and then bury it or put it in a safe deposit box somewhere where no one was going to find it. So these are things that are going to be huge. So again, just to kind of recap, all great stuff with Black Friday sales. I'm planning on putting stuff out on my personal stuff with regards to Black Friday sales. At Beacon, the company that I am a co-founder of, we do education and onboarding. We're having our first ever Black Friday sale next week, so please look out for that as well. But yeah, these are all great tools that you can have, and this is something where, in the event that you have assets that you have at the CX level that you want to hold on to, don't keep them on the exchange, because yes, people get deplatformed all the time. As much as they want to say they don't do it, they do it all the time, especially if they think you're doing something that is suspicious. Talk to anybody who uses MEXC. Shout out to MEXC, by the way. They're very nice people. You don't want to be in that situation where you're that one person who doesn't do that. Making sure that you have self-custody of your assets, especially in this environment, is so important, guys. Do not take that for granted. And again, the whole idea is that self-custody equals true financial freedom. You are the bank in this industry. In Web3 and DeFi, you get to decide where your assets are going to go. You get to stake them, and you get the 6%, not the bank who's always making 6% off of you and giving you 0.1% or whatever the price is. You're always the one getting stiffed in this financial system. Please wake up and read the tea leaves if you don't know that already. I have family members who work in banking. I know they don't care for what I do. For what it's worth, I don't care what they do. I don't care for what they do. Because I want true financial freedom. I want true control over my assets. This is my hard-earned money. I understand that there is a safety requirement, a security requirement, and that's why we have things like Beat the Banks every Friday at 3 p.m. To show people that, yes, you can self-custody your assets in a safe and secure manner to have this true financial freedom where now you are not stuck at a specific centralized exchange. You don't have to KYC to your hardware wallet, you know? But you do actually, in some cases, have to KYC to buy it. And them's the breaks. Them's are the breaks. So yes, move the assets that you want to keep that are not DeFi performant to cold storage. And this is all stuff you can do next week while you're in a turkey-induced coma, right? Get all this ready, move all this around. That's why you have time off from work, right? It's a good time to do it. Even if you've already done it. And I just said this on our mastermind call, an hour ago. Use the time to evaluate all of the stuff around you. Your physical security, your network security, passwords, emails, all of the stuff that we talk about in our content, which we have a lot of free content, by the way. You should be looking to take time off to improve as much of that as possible. Speaking of that, and I don't have my normal banners here, thanks StreamYard for not working today. But feel free to go to our website, school.com/beacon. This is for our free group, Total Value Locked, which is how we have most of our community-facing calls. Again, perfectly free to join, school.com/beacon, SKOOL.com/beacon. I'll put it somewhere in the show notes somewhere. Join the many who have already joined. We have free content here. You can head here to the Start Here post. You'll get a message from myself and our CEO, Andrew. You can learn more about, our different paths. If you want to get personal mentorship from me, of course, we have our Introduction to DeFi course. And again, like I mentioned, we have our very special Black Friday deal coming next week. Thanks again to our mastermind members for helping us do what we can do here. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to our Beacon Challenge members as well. We love you and we appreciate you. So now that you've done that, now that you've figured out that you decided you wanted to put all of your assets into cold storage, and now you're in a situation of, well, what do I do with the rest of the funds that I have in terms of, now I have some USD that I've kind of scraped together, like USDC, USDT, ETH, SOL, whatever you want to use as performant assets. What should we do? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to get out of the mindset of looking for 20Xs. Yes, they will be there. I can tell you with pure sincerity, We're going to see 20x's every single day. Should you be chasing them? No, not all the time. You shouldn't be chasing things without good alpha. Simple as that. Because you're going to become someone's X liquidity if not. What you should be focusing on is 20%. Go from 20x to 20%. Because passive yield is the real way that whales continue to make money in this space. Anyone who has longevity, who has staying power in this space, knows that passive income is the real key to having a performant crypto portfolio. I talk to whales all the time that have made 7, 8, 9 figures in this space. And frankly, a lot of them have just said, I wish I could have just started with that 10% pool. And I know that sounds crazy. It doesn't when you think about it in the long run. You want to be in a situation where you have passive income, where you have these things available that are safe and secure. And that's the beauty of DeFi with smart contracts, hard to manipulate. We're seeing at the CX level, things are getting manipulated like crazy over the last 3 weeks, right? So for us, we've been telling our groups, just be safe, stay defensive, don't take leverage. Get into the mindset of 20% yields being fantastic, because they are. 3 years ago, the holy grail of stablecoins was 20%. Granted, it was on an unfortunate project like Anchor on Terra. But since then, there have been multiple different groups and really good protocols who have been able to provide even more than 20%. Uniswap v3 and concentrate liquidity, big part of that, right? A lot of the more than 15 different mechanisms that are out there now in DeFi to earn yield with composable cross-chain assets has made a huge, huge jump in both security and innovation in this space with regards to finding good yield. Will you always find 20% passive yield? No. But are you going to strive to find the best ways to achieve it? Yes, absolutely. The reason being, anyone who doesn't do DeFi, and I know a lot of people who won't even touch DeFi, and it boggles my mind because they're happy to just sit there and hold their assets that are earning nothing, zero, when I'm sitting here earning in excess of 10 to 15 to 20% on 7 to 15 positions in multiple ecosystems and multiple good pools with deep liquidity. You can do it. And frankly, it's not that hard. There's so much automation in this space now. There's so many things that just take care of all that for you. We have people in the group that literally farm stablecoins to pay capital gains taxes because they know they're going to pay that. And you should be paying your taxes, by the way. Tax evasion is not fun. Don't do it. Pay your taxes. But anyway, that's really the idea. Do I have another? I do. I have another slide. So let's talk about DeFi opportunities. These are 5 that we talk about quite a bit in the group. Stablecoin LP farms, whether you're doing it, in an automated way, or in a concentrated liquidity way, or even in a full range XYK way, like Uniswap v2. Great way to earn yield. Especially when there's a lot of volatility like there is right now. There's a flight to safety specifically for stablecoins. One of my picks of the week on our Beacon Spotlight, which goes out to all of our members every Thursday, there's a great pool on Katana, specifically 116%. It's a fairly tight range, but you can zoom out and do auto rebalancing and auto compounding and earn in excess of, I think the rate is 74%. Is that sustainable? It really depends on the volume, right? There are multiple single-sided positions that we call DeFi savings accounts. Aave just announced their app where they're offering up to 9% if you use their mobile app on boosts. Is that going to last forever? No, because they were 5% with boosts. But there are other places outside of Aave, and frankly, Aave's had kind of the worst rates in all of DeFi, to be honest, in terms of lending supply. There are multiple other positions with great track records that can offer in excess of 9% without boosts. Now, we work with quite a few of them. Delta neutral hedged farming. Someone in the chat on Retake mentioned Hyper EVM. That's the beauty of Hyper EVM. Why we're so bullish on Hyperliquid and Hyper EVM is that Hyperliquid has emerged as the biggest perp DEX in all of DeFi, eclipsing GMX, eclipsing DYDX, eclipsing Synthetics, Drift, and all of these others that have already been out there. And the beautiful part is, with Hyper EVM and smart contracts working with Hypercore, now you have the ability to always have access to delta neutral hedged farming at all times, which is why Hyper EVM is such an important place to be. And I do hope that they have better liquidity options, kind of like what GMX has on multiple chains, to provide some really good perp DEX LP. And they'll get there. There's 45 protocols, active protocols that we like now on Hyper EVM. There's the problem right now, guys, honestly, outside of the hard part of choosing which assets to liquidate, is choosing which opportunities to take. There's true analysis paralysis because there's so much out there with good yield, and nobody's doing it, which is crazy in my opinion. So if you want to get that mentorship, please reach out to me. Happy to help you out. And then fixed yield farming, what we call the DeFi CD. The ability to have well, let's not call it guaranteed yield, a specific yield for a specific amount of time on an asset with no impermanent loss. Supremely powerful. Being able to find, a really great Hyper EVM asset with in excess of 22%. That, you'll get that rate from today all the way until the maturity date. Let's just say it's sometime in February of 2026. Great way to get some good yields back on your money based on the fixed PT. And there are multiple other protocols out there now besides Pendle. So now you have something to do next week while your bank is closed. And you're watching football and you're thinking, what did the DeFi professor tell me to do? Yes, you watch this video, go through, clean up your portfolio, get some performant assets ready and farm them. Because yes, the market is absolute garbage right now. But guess what? Volatility is good for us because we can farm the crap out of these yields. We can farm all kinds of liquidations, investor behavior. That is our bread and butter, guys. So while people are crying in their beer about the leverage they shouldn't have taken, we are farming very well. And we have been all year. That's all I had for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this show. You found great value. If you did, please like, follow, and subscribe. Really help us out. Get more people to see more of our content. We've been doing this. We've helped tens of thousands of people get into this space since 2021. We've been doing this training, Beat the Banks, specifically since January of 2022. It's been my pleasure and honor to help so many people in this space find true financial freedom through what we have here in DeFi. So with that said, again, we're not going to have this call next week, mainly because we want our team to go and spend time with their families. And I hope you get the time to do the same. Spend it with friends, with loved ones. Just enjoy the time off. It's a little chilly here in the Midwest, but it's fine. It's not snowing, so happy about that. So take care. Have a great weekend. And yeah, thanks for joining us today. We say here in the group, beacons up, banks down. Keep beating those banks, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.